Our history is a book with missing pages. We believe we have the story straight. We believe in a linear path, from stone tools to bronze to iron, from the simple abacus to the steam engine to the microchip. We see ourselves at the pinnacle of a long, unbroken climb. But what if that climb wasn't unbroken? What if chapters, entire volumes of knowledge were written and then lost? What if, scattered in the wreckage of the ancient world, there is evidence of a technology so advanced, it forces us to question everything we think we know about the intelligence of our ancestors? In the spring of 1900, off the coast of the remote Greek island of Antikythera, a team of sponge divers led by Captain Dimitrios Kontos was blown off course by a violent storm. Seeking shelter, they anchored in a quiet bay. When the storm passed, one of the divers, Elias Stadiatos, suited up in the heavy, primitive canvas and bronze diving gear of the era and descended into the unknown. Minutes later, he resurfaced, frantic, signaling wildly to be pulled up. He was pale, shaking, describing a horrifying sight on the seafloor, a heap of rotting corpses and dead horses. He believed he had stumbled upon a mass grave from a recent disaster. The captain, skeptical but intrigued, descended himself. What he found was not a graveyard, but something far more extraordinary. The corpses were not men, but a trove of magnificent bronze and marble statues, casualties of an ancient Roman shipwreck, scattered across the seabed. Nearly 200 feet down, this was the first major underwater archaeological excavation in history. For nearly 2 years, the divers risked their lives, battling decompression sickness. One diver died, 2 were paralyzed to haul these treasures to the surface. They recovered stunning bronze statues, intricate glassware, jewelry, and pottery. And amidst this priceless hoard of classical art, they found this, a single, unassuming lump of calcified bronze, about the size of a large book. It was broken into 3 main pieces, and it looked like junk. It was sent to the National Archaeological Museum in Athens along with the rest of the findings. The statues were celebrated. This was forgotten. It was filed away in a storage room, dismissed as a possible fragment of a statue, or perhaps some strange, unidentifiable military tool. For 50 years, it collected dust. Nobody knew that this corroded lump of junk was, in fact, the single most important and most impossible artifact ever recovered from the ancient world. Half a century passed. In 1951, a British historian of science named Derek de Solla Price visited the museum. He had a fascination with ancient scientific instruments. He stumbled upon the Antikythera fragments and was immediately captivated. He saw something others had missed. On the surface, he could make out the faint, ghostly outlines of inscriptions and what looked like a gear. A gear? In a 2,000-year-old artifact? This was unheard of, at least in this form. Price dedicated his life to studying it. But the technology of the 1,950 seconds wasn't enough. The mechanism was a solid lump. The insides were a mystery. It wasn't until the 1,970 seconds that the first X-rays were taken and the world got its first glimpse of the impossible. The lump wasn't solid. It was a complex, interlocking system of precision-cut bronze gears, at least 30 of them, layered on top of each other with breathtaking skill. As technology advanced, so did our view. In the 2000s, a team using advanced X-ray tomography and high-resolution imaging scanners was able to digitally reconstruct the entire machine. What they found didn't just rewrite a page of history, it tore the whole chapter out. This was not a simple clock. This was an analog computer. A portable, bronze and wood-cased calculator of the cosmos. It was so complex that it has taken us over a century, and the advent of supercomputers, to fully understand what it did. And its functions are staggering. On the front, a single dial showed the 365-day Egyptian calendar, and a second, concentric ring showed the 12 signs of the Greek zodiac. By turning a knob on the side, a user could move a date cursor, and as they did, the entire machine whirred to life. Pointers would move, showing the exact position of the sun, the moon, and all 5 planets known to the Greeks: Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn, on that chosen date, past or future. But it's how times it tracked them that is so revolutionary. The ancients believed the Earth was the center of the universe. But they were brilliant observers. They knew the planets didn't move in perfect circles. They appeared to speed up, slow down, and even move backward, what we call retrograde motion. To account for this, the mechanism's creator used a brilliant and unheard-of system, epicyclic gearing, or gears within gears. One gear would ride on the face of another gear, perfectly mimicking the complex motions of the planets as they appeared from Earth. This level of astronomical and mechanical sophistication simply should not have existed, and the back of the machine is even more profound. It features 2 large, spiral dials. The top spiral is a 223-month calendar, the Saros cycle. This dial wasn't for telling time, it was for predicting the future. It could forecast, with stunning accuracy, the exact day and even the hour of a solar or lunar eclipse. The bottom spiral was a 19-year metonic cycle, which was used to synchronize calendars and, incredibly, to set the dates for the Pan-Hellenic Games, including the Olympic Games. This was a machine that could model the past, present, and future of the heavens, a device with a level of miniaturized, differential gearing that would not be seen again on this planet for 1,500 years. This is the Antikythera Mechanism. So, who could have built this, and why? Did the knowledge vanish? The shipwreck itself gives us our first clue. It was a massive Roman cargo vessel, dated to somewhere between 80 and 60 B.C. The cargo, however, was Greek. It was filled with plundered treasures, likely being hauled back to Rome by a victorious general, perhaps even Julius Caesar himself. The mechanism, then, is at least as old as the 1st century B. But analysis of the inscriptions suggests it was built even earlier, perhaps between 200 and 100 B.C. The mainstream explanation, the comfortable answer, points to one man. He was the father of mathematics, the man who famously shouted, "Eureka!" He was also a renowned creator of mechanical wonders. We have contemporary accounts, most famously from the Roman orator Cicero, who lived at the time of the shipwreck. Cicero describes 2 such machines. He said he personally saw one, and that it was a celestial sphere, a mechanical model of the cosmos. This is a direct historical link. The timeline fits. Archimedes was killed by the Romans in 212 B.C. It is entirely possible that the Antikythera Mechanism is one of these legendary devices, or, perhaps more likely, a copy of one, built within the school of Archimedes, on the island of Rhodes, which was a center of astronomy and engineering. This theory is plausible. It gives a face to the invention. It places the genius firmly on the shoulders of one recognized historical giant. It allows us to view the mechanism as the absolute pinnacle of a known technological path, the final, brilliant flourish of Greek mechanical genius. Before the Roman conquest and the subsequent decline, for mainstream history, this is where the story ends. It is an anomaly, yes, but a solvable anomaly. A masterpiece from a lost Da Vinci of the ancient world. But this is where the real-time's mystery begins. Because if this is the pinnacle of Greek technology, where is the rest of the mountain? Technology is not born in a vacuum. It is iterative. It builds upon itself. The iPhone is not possible without the transistor. The transistor is not possible without the vacuum tube. The steam engine is not possible without the piston. Yet, with the Antikythera Mechanism, we have a device of staggering complexity, and then, nothing. For 1,500 years, the knowledge of precision gearing, of epicyclic and differential mechanics, vanishes from the human story. The Romans, who supposedly plundered this treasure, were master builders of aqueducts, roads, and concrete. But there is not one surviving text, one artifact, that suggests they understood, or could replicate, this level of mechanical engineering. Let's put this in perspective for the 21st century. Inside your car, whether it's a Ford, a Toyota, or a Tesla, there is a device called a differential. It's a complex set of gears that allows your outside wheels to spin faster than your inside wheels when you turn a corner. It's a brilliant, essential piece of modern engineering. The Antikythera Mechanism, built over 2,000 years ago, contains a differential gear system. It used it to accurately calculate the complex, variable motions of the moon. The next time we see technology of this sophistication is not in Rome, not in the Byzantine Empire, not in the Islamic Golden Age. It is in the 14th century cathedrals of Europe, with the creation of the first, massive, weight-driven astronomical clocks. And even those were, in many ways, less complex than the miniaturized marvel that was recovered from the sea. This isn't a missing link. This is a missing chain, a 1,500-year gap in our technological history. So, the terrifying question is, why? Why did this revolutionary technology disappear? We are left with three profoundly unsettling possibilities. Possibility 1. The knowledge was a closely guarded secret. It wasn't widespread. It may have been the proprietary technology of a single workshop, a state secret of a city-state like Rhodes or Syracuse. When the Romans conquered, the masters of this craft may have been killed, their workshops destroyed. The knowledge was so specialized, so niche, that it simply died with its creators, leaving no one to pass on the tradition. It was, in effect, a technological dead end. Possibility 2. The knowledge was lost. In a cataclysm. The Antikythera Mechanism was not a unique object. Cicero's writings imply there were at least two, and likely more. These were the laptops of the ancient world's elite scientists. But where were the blueprints? Where were the instruction manuals? Where was the science that made them possible? The answer, almost certainly, is the Library of Alexandria. The Great Fire that destroyed the library wasn't just a loss of books. It was a civilizational reset button. It's highly probable that the schematics, the astronomical calculations, the engineering treatises, everything you would need to build a device like this was stored in that single, vast repository. When the library burned, the software for this ancient hardware was erased from history. All we have left is this one, waterlogged, shipwrecked example, which survived only by sheer dumb luck. Humanity was forced to spend the next 1,500 years relearning, rediscovering, and reinventing what it already knew. But there is a third possibility, one that is far more speculative and far more challenging to our view of the past. What if the Greeks didn't times invent, times it? What if the school of Archimedes was not the creator, but the inheritor of this knowledge? This device operates on a theory of planetary motion that is incredibly advanced. It calculates the lunar anomaly, something we attribute to Hipparchus. But what if this knowledge was older? Still, the Antikythera Mechanism is the ultimate out-of-place artifact, or OOPArt. An object that, by all appearances, should not exist in the time period it was found. It is not alone. We have the Baghdad battery, a 2,000-year-old clay pot that appears to be a galvanic cell. We have the Dendera lights, Egyptian carvings that look uncannily like giant light bulbs. We have the impossible stonework of the Andes. Is it possible that these are not isolated anomalies, but the last, fading echoes of a much older, widespread, and sophisticated civilization? A lost mother culture that was destroyed in a global cataclysm, like the one Plato described in his story of Atlantis? A civilization that passed on fragmented pieces of its advanced knowledge to the fledgling cultures that followed, like the Egyptians, the Babylonians, and the Greeks. In this scenario, the Antikythera Mechanism isn't the pinnacle of Greek science. It is the last surviving masterpiece of a lost technological inheritance, one that the Greeks themselves could study and perhaps even replicate, but no longer truly innovate upon. When that last link to the past was broken, the knowledge vanished, until we reinvented it ourselves, 1,500 years later. So, what is the Antikythera Mechanism? Is it a simple marvel of a singular Greek genius? An anomaly that stands alone in history? Is it the last surviving proof of the knowledge we lost in the fires of Alexandria? Or is it something more? A ghost in the machine, a message in a bottle from a lost chapter of human history, telling us that we are not the first? Whatever the truth, this single, corroded lump of bronze, pulled from the bottom of the sea, has shattered our clean, linear view of the past. It proves, beyond any doubt, that our ancestors were capable of a level of scientific and mechanical genius that we thought was reserved for the modern age. It is a profound, ticking reminder that our history is more complex, more advanced, and infinitely more mysterious than we are taught in our schools. And it forces us to ask the most important question of all. If this survived by pure chance, what else is still out there, buried in the sand or lost in the deep, waiting to be found?